what is open? What did we open up? Well, of course, we opened up the Flex SDK, which means the framework, the compiler, the debugger, they're all available under the Mozilla Public License, or the MPL. As part of that, we have, of course, our public bug database, bugs.adobe.com/flex. The roadmap and daily builds are going to be available. So daily builds have been available on labs for a long time. The roadmap was also available, although it was a little hidden as far as the Flex 3 stuff. We are going to have the roadmap for the next version of Flex available on the open source site. Daily builds are going to be available on the open source site. At the moment, you only see released build because, because we stopped and we couldn't get some of the infrastructure set up for all three build types. But we're getting there. Blaze DS is also, as Ben said, available. It's going to be released under the LGPL version 3. So that's, and then it also provides commercial license. So Flex has, as I said, it has two modes. We have a version that's MPL only, so you can download just the MPL bits. But the SDK comes with things that need to be available under the commercial license, things that we did in open source, like the debugger player, the error runtimes, things like that. And so we produce a package called add-ons that can contain that stuff. So if you want to only have MPL code downloaded and use that as part of your source, then you can get that specific package. But if you then need to have available to your customers or whatever, the debug player and whatnot, those need to be through the add-ons package. Or you can redistribute the Flex 3 SDK as a complete package from Adobe. That was back to Flex. But Blaze has a commercial license. It has certified builds, which would be called Lifecycle Data Services Community Edition, I think. And then it also has its public bug database and its own open source site. I was going to go through the open source site a little bit, but we're running out of time, so I'm not going to do that. But you can see the reasons for why we went open source at the bottom. We talked about this in the past when we were doing this. I'm not going to dwell on it in the time frame. But one of the things I did want to talk about with Blaze is what were the objectives of open sourcing Blaze. So if you look at how we have this set up, Adobe is providing the Blaze implementations for Java as a reference implementation and Cold Fusion. And then we are working with the community, folks like WebOrg, folks like Florine, folks like Ruby AMF, and all these different other partners and open source projects and whatnot to build Blaze DS implementations for the different backends, so PHP, .NET, Ruby, etc. So the idea is for the community to participate in building a lot of this stuff as well as Adobe. And just the general model of how these open source projects are going to be governed. So you can see on the lower right we have the core source tree. That's obviously the core of the project. And then Adobe on the left, contributors, committers, those are the folks who are going to be checking code in. To start out, it's probably going to continue to remain Adobe engineers, but over time, we're going to add external committers. Committers meaning people who have full rights to submit into the source tree. Starting immediately, we want to enable contributors, and by contributors, we mean folks who will contribute in a number of ways. So people can contribute today right now by filing bugs, by answering questions on the forums, etc. But we also want to now enable a patch submission process so that you can, if you fill out a contributor agreement, which just makes sure that we have certain rights to use your code, you have the rights to give us that code, etc. You fill that out, and then there's a workflow that gets enabled for you within Jira so that you can submit a patch to a particular bug. So if you have a new issue, you can file a bug and then submit a patch to it, or if there's an existing issue that you see that was deferred or not getting fixed or whatever, you can attach a patch to that and say, this is what I think the submission should be in order to fix that issue. So I think that's very cool. Definitely spend some time going through the open source site and checking it out, and also attend Pete Farland's talk. He's going to talk a little bit about the site, but a lot more about the details of the components that you haven't seen before, like the compilers. Skipping that. Okay. Moving forward. What's coming next? I'm sure people were thinking, oh, he's saying he's got good announcements on his blog, it's going to be Thermo, he's got generation of designer tools, and really allowing designers and developers to work together even more efficiently than today. It's meant to look and feel like a creative suite product, allow designers to really be involved end-to-end in the process of building your RIAs. So we want to allow designers to create wireframes to do prototypes, to take static artwork, static comps, and turn them into working versions of an application, even if it just has dummy data, for example. And then define states and transitions visually. It's really just going to be an incredible set of functionality. We also have a number of services that we're working on. Share, Adobe Share is, these are all code names for collaboration, so document sharing. Pacifica for voice. If you're curious about Pacifica, Renan's here. I'm sure he'd be happy to talk your ear off about it. Kokomo for video conferencing. So Kokomo is the next generation of components that are meant to provide collaboration, video conferencing functionality. It is what the basis of the next generation of Acrobat Connect. The next version of Flex. We've decided a code name last Friday. Gumbo. Gumbo is the code name for the next version of Flex. And it is organized around, this is all tentative, tentatively organized around 4 themes. One, design in mind, providing a framework for more collaboration between designer and developer. If anybody says, isn't that Thermo? Yes, that's Thermo. Accelerated development. What are we thinking about? Taking kinds of things that you want to do, your concept of your application, into production more quickly. So it's not like saying take Cold Fusion, get your 5 lines and you have a fully functional app that does everything you need. But what can you do with to make the tools better, make the workflow better, so that you can get more things done. Horizontal platform improvements. This is sort of a boring tunnel for what sort of boring stuff to describe, but absolutely critical to getting the platform advanced. So a faster compiler, for example, falls under horizontal platform improvements. Broadening horizons is we want to be able to use Flex to build more kinds of applications and deploy to more runtimes. And so what can we do to broaden the scope of the applications that you can build and use Flex to build them. There's also a number of things coming in Flash Player. The next version of the Flash Player is codenamed Astro. It has a bunch of features that we can't talk about and some that we can. So some that we can, Vellum, new text support, going to be incredible, flexible layout, right to left text, all sorts of device font support, so really cool stuff. Hydra, which if you were at Max, you saw some demos of that. It's a custom pixel shader, which means you can do hardcore graphics processing essentially within the Flash Player. You can write this code in a language called Hydra, and then you can use it for filters, blend modes, fills, etc. This is the same engine that is used in Photoshop to do filters, or in After Effects to do filters, and that engine, or a subset of that engine, is going to be exposed in the Flash Player. So you can go to labs today and download the Adobe Image Foundation toolkit and start writing filters, and then you can test them out in Photoshop or After Effects, where I think they have it tested. Very cool stuff. 3D effects, or what we sometimes refer to as 2.5D effects, because it's about creating the perspective of 3D without necessarily putting a full 3D engine into the Flash Player. So some very cool things that you can do with that. I have some pictures. And then just one AS3 improvement to throw out there is a class called Vector Typed Arrays. Yeah, you've got developers here. That's the ones. Okay, this is an example of Vellum. This might look like it came from InDesign, but no, it's rendered in the Flash Player. So, very cool text layout. We basically wasted, 2 years of the Buzzwords guys' time doing all of this stuff, because now it's going to be easy. So, whenever people ask, hey, are you taking Buzzword and you're going to make a component out of it? No, we're doing Vellum instead. Another example of the text that you're going to be able to do in Vellum. This is an example of a Hydra